Alright, Part 24, Title 40, CFR, Chapter 1, Part 24, 13. Subpart C, hearings on orders requiring corrective measure. Qualification of the presiding officer for the ex parte discussion of the proceeding with the qualification presiding of the officer shall be either the regional judicial officer with the, as described in the Title 40 CFR 2204B with it, or another attorney employed by the agency who has no prior connection with it in the case of including with the performance of any of the investigation, prosecution, function, ex parte decision of the proceeding no more time, at no time of the issue with the initial administrator or the prior to the issue with the final order shall regional administrator presiding officer any of the person who will divide with the official with the decision with the case of the discovery the ex parte of the merits of the proceeding with any of the interested person outside of the agency staff member who performs a prosecutorial investigation function and such for the proceeding with the factual related with the proceeding, bringing the representative of the such function approach person after the issuance of the initial order with the prior to issuance of the final order, regional administrator of the presiding officer any of the person will divide with the official with the decision in the case of the receives from one half of the party behalf on any of the party ex parte communication information which of the relevant decision into the case which other parties have not had an opportunity to respond with a summary of the such information shall be served on all parties who the same shall have an opportunity to reply within 10 days of service of the summary. All right, 2414, schedule the hearing, pre-hearing submission for the part of the presiding officer shall establish the expedition schedule for the submission of the respondent of the memorandum appropriate affidavit the exhibit the stating supporting respondent of the position of the facts and law of the relief and the specified with the base upon the manner in which of the determination of the relief position if the erroneous required modification of the withdrawal to submission and respond with the EPA of the 3 the public hearing and subject for the 2414B but the hearing shall be scheduled within 45 days of the order setting with the schedule of the presiding officer shall establish the date, time, and location for the agenda of the hearing of the shall transmit the information for the party along with the schedule of the hearing. Postponement of the hearing with the presiding officer is appropriate may grant the extension for the time of the filing of the document other than request for the hearing of the 2405A, or may grant the extension for the time of the conduct for the hearing of the upon written request for the either party with the good cause for the shown with any of the consideration registered for the other party. Respondents pre-hearing submission for the in accordance with the schedule of the presiding officer, the respondent shall file with a memorandum stating with the supporting respondent position of the facts and law relief of the memorandum must identify with each of the factual allegation issue regarding with the appropriate with the term of the relief of the initial order of the respondent, content for which the respondent request for the hearing of the memorandum must clearly state with the respondent's position with respect to each of the issue, but it must also include any of the proposals for modification of the order of the memorandum shall also be present in any of the arrangement legal conclusions that contained therein in the order. Written question to the EPA with the respondent may file with a request for the presiding officer permission for the submit with the written question for the EPA regional officer issuing the order concerning the issue of the material and the fact of the order, the request for the all is accompanied with the process, proposed question of the must for the instance no more than 25 questions, including sub-questions, so part of the may be posed with the request for the question must be submitted to the presiding officer at least 21 days after before the hearing. The presiding officer may direct the EPA to respond to such questions as he designated in presiding whether or not to direct the agency to respond to the written question to the presiding officer shall consider whether such response required a full disclosure adequate to the resolution of the fact that no question shall be allowed regarding the privilege of internal communication. Presiding officer shall grant the denial of the modified request for the expedition for the request for the granting presiding officer with the main request for the question may limit the number and scope of the question with the questions may be deleted with the revised in discretion and presiding officer with the reason for may include the fact of the findings of the question that are relevant with the redundant, necessary, or an undue burden of the agency. The presiding officer shall transmit the question submitted with the modified with the EPA. The EPA responds question with the 14-day calendar day service with the question with the presiding officer unless the extension is granted. Alright, submission of additional information presiding officer shall have the discretion to order either party with the submit of additional information included but not limited to the post-hearing of the brief of the undeveloped fact, technical, legal matter, whatever the form way he deems appropriate either by the before and after, or after the hearing. Presiding officer may issue subpoenas of attendance for the testimony of the person with the production of the relevant papers and books and documents on. So this way, the hearing procedure for the provoke elsewhere where the parties are not to engage in the direct or cross-examination of the witness for the subpoena power to serve with only the junction the presiding officer with authority to ask questions, otherwise to take step in clarifying factual matters which are in dispute. Upon request of the respondent, the presiding officer may have the discretion allowed the submittal with the respondent with additional information in support of its claim and the receive the cleric of the petitioner of at least 5 business days before hearing. All right, location of the hearing. The hearing shall be held in city relevant to the EPA regional office located with the presiding officer to determine if the good cause of the hold in another location. And we're going to cut the tape there, and I'll come back with one more tape. Testing.